Hey everyone, so as you can tell from the title, this is a wrap-up video, which I haven't done before. I don't plan to consistently do wrap-up videos, but there were 3 books that I read in June that I would like to review. The first one is The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. Basically, this book is amazing. The writing is incredible, beautiful, meaningful, and makes the book worth reading just for the writing. But the story is fascinating too. The way that the author writes from the perspective of a group of teenage boys works perfectly. The plot is very interesting and never dull. One of my favorite parts is the description of the dying trees in the neighborhood and how it works as a metaphor for the dying sisters, and all of the black bugs that cover windshields and windows, and how windows act as another huge metaphor for gazing and the act of gazing, and how that's very important and how everyone is kind of watching each other. And the pace isn't too slow or too fast, but it kind of feels slow, or like everything is happening in slow motion, but not in a bad way. It's just the kind of mood of the whole book reminds me of like a really humid day where there's nothing to do except people watch, but the people that you're watching just happen to be this group of gorgeous sisters. Basically, this group of boys is obsessed with this group of girls and watch everything they do, but it doesn't really come off in a stalker creepy way because it kind of presents the group of girls as this big mystery that they have to figure out. It's written as if the boys are talking directly to the reader and explaining everything they know about the girls and presenting all the evidence that they have to explain why things happened the way they did. They try to figure out who the sisters really are and what they're going through, what they might be thinking, while still admitting that they really don't know the girls at all. It's the kind of book where you can know exactly what happens but still not be spoiled. The heart of the book is its construction and its writing and the storytelling. It's definitely one of my favorites and I really recommend it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was very different, and my opinions of it were also very different. The book is Oppression by Jessica Therrien. I read this book because it was like $1 on the Amazon Kindle website. Basically, Oppression is a kind of part dystopian, part mythology. The characters of the book age super slowly, like 5 times as slow as anyone else. So they live for like hundreds of years. They are the descendants of Greek gods, and so they have powers like descendants of Aphrodite can woo anyone to do what they want, and descendants of Bacchus, or the god of wine, can make anyone tipsy or completely drunk. These people live in modern day life amongst humans but have a separate community and kind of government of their own, which of course is corrupt. The writing, it wasn't really that impressive. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't amazing. The plot was pretty predictable, and it also seemed to move pretty slowly. Like, nothing happens in the whole book except for the main character hanging out with her boyfriend and all of her friends, and occasional run-ins with danger that doesn't really change anything in the plot. Like, nobody dies, no revolution starts, it's all just leading up to something that doesn't happen in the book. Now, it is going to be a series, but I don't think that this book works as a standalone novel. I think maybe it would work better as a much bigger novel where something actually happens. Also, probably the most annoying thing is how quickly the main characters fall in love with each other. It's a definite case of insta-love, and it's so annoying. And when the main character describes her boyfriend, she just describes him as incredibly attractive with amazing eyes and a smile that makes her heart melt. She doesn't really describe any of his personality or what they have in common other than that they have these powers, as if that should be enough. But for me, it's not. There was one minor character that I found more interesting because of a certain sacrifice that she was willing to make. I thought that was very interesting, and I would have liked to know more about her and her thought process. And I think her story was much more intriguing to me than the story that was actually being told. I don't think I will be reading the sequel when it comes out because I just wasn't interested enough. And I gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. The next book is Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand, which I mentioned in my Better World Books haul right at the end. And let me just say, this more than made up for the bad reading experience that I had with Oppression. This book is amazing. This is the story of Louis Zamperini, an Olympic athlete who was later drafted into the US Air Force, only to have his plane crash into enemy waters in World War II. He then becomes a prisoner of war in Japan, and he goes through so much that it's just so amazing that he survived it all, which isn't really a spoiler because since it is a real story and it's about a guy who's still alive today, and I knew that fact before I read this, so sorry if that spoiled anything for you, but really it shouldn't, because what's more amazing is the stuff that he goes through in between, and every time something happens you think this is the worst it could possibly get for him, but it's not, and things just keep getting horrible and horrible. So it's really amazing that he made it through and that he's still alive today. The writing is pretty straightforward and it doesn't hold anything back, so it does get kind of violent and graphic in parts, but it's so well written with so much detail that you kind of feel like you're there with him. The people in the book, especially Louis, are so endearing and you really care about them. And you also don't have to have a knowledge of war or planes to understand what's going on in the book. It's very well explained. I usually don't read war stories, especially non-fiction real-life war stories, but this was so amazing that I really loved it. Louis Zamperini has become such a hero to me because of everything that he went through and the fact that he managed to keep his sanity intact and his amazing will to live through everything. And that's definitely why it's called Unbroken, because his spirit was not unbroken. Broken. It was not broken. The book is also really well tied up in the end. You learn what happens to all of the characters, which is really nice. So much research went into this book. I really have to commend the author, especially considering she actually has a fatigue syndrome that pretty much makes her a captive in her own home. So she uses her books and her writing to escape her own life, and that definitely comes through in this book because it really transports you to World War II era Japan. It's very inspirational, very touching, and definitely gives you a perspective of the hardships in your own life and what you're able to go through. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, and I definitely recommend it. So those are the books that I read in June. If you've read any of them, let me know what you thought. I know that a July to be read video should be paired with this, but I don't like reading to a schedule or planning ahead. But I did just start reading A Storm of Swords, the 3rd book in the Song of Ice and Fire series. And I will also be reading Fahrenheit 451 for the Vlog Brothers Book Reading Club, which starts now, and we are supposed to read the first part by next Tuesday, so there's still time if you want to join. I also have about 240 subscribers now, which is amazing since a week ago I had like 200, and a lot of that is thanks to Rincey Reads for mentioning me in one of her latest videos. So if you came from her, thanks for joining, and if you don't watch her, you should go check her out because she makes really good videos too. I also just want to thank everyone who has commented so far on my Harry Potter video. It's been really fun hearing your stories about fighting over who gets to read the next book and what houses you're in and all of that, and I like hearing from you and getting to know you, so thanks for commenting. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. It's a definite case of Instagram, or dang it.